Good afternoon. Alright, so it's missions is what I gotta work on for the next update. So update 8 missions. Let's pop open that camera and just take a look at it. Good afternoon, Caracan. I guess notifications are actually working today, or Twitch actually is working. What? Amazing. I'm not as upset as I could be. So let's see. Some of the things I need to do today. I need to figure out what objects I need to make. So what I need to do is figure out which set of missions I'm working on first, what objects I need to make for those missions, and then I need to actually make the missions. But first, let's go take a look at what the level. Adam checked in some stuff, so I will need to look at it. He switched the sides for the red and blue. I would never do that. I would never do that. Oh man. It's like violation of trust of, like the player. Like, here's a Mario level where you run. Oh man, Bitey looks like really he's got back problems. Shit. Oh man. I like how Adam started off his animation things with I don't want to have that cliche like fucking breathing animation. you know? And that's exactly what he's got now. The goal for the red team is actually on the right, though. Where is the goal? I'll have to find it with echolocation. Is the goal literally this thing? But you can't get the ball over there. Yeah, oh god. I gotta talk to him about this. That's, oh my god. Alright. Let's see. So, I'll have to figure out what mission stuff I'm working on today. Jeez. I don't even know how to put that into words. Like, I really hope that caverns level is not what, like, there's so many things wrong with it. Like, we have the stalactites that block the movement, then we have this big empty space, and you don't know it's the goal. There's no having it up. None of the moves hit the ball in the direction that it needs to go. Like, not one of our moves. Hell, there is no move that takes the ball from right here to right here. There is no move in the entire fucking game where you can get past this obstacle right here if the ball is still. Like you punch it, like if you do a sliding kick, it hits it into the stalactite. Yeah, there's just. And then the switching the sides, like or are they switched? Or am I just looking at it from the reverse? Alright, so I was just looking at it from the reverse side. I don't know. I'm just gonna have to ignore that that exists. That's oh man, I don't know. That's tough. Like I'm just gonna have to pretend that doesn't exist. I don't know. I need to talk to him about stuff, but he's been so busy over this week that it's like he's not even here. So I have no idea how complete that level is supposed to be or how complete the idea of the level is supposed to be, but it's bad. It's shit. Alright. Let's see, we're gonna have to figure out which one of these sets of missions I'm working on first. So we've got 3 other types, I believe. Let's see, mission categories. We've got scoring, collection, ball control. Let's figure out what each one of these are. So, start with ball control, collection, and scoring. Maybe I should just hand him a design for that level. Rather not, though. So let's see, what do we got for this? We've got this weekend, and that's it. And I'll be doing the caverns level, and then supposed to be doing tuning for the other missions. Hmm. All right. So let's break these down. Yeah, sorry, Karakan, if I just like come off as like super negative on stuff there with Adam or whatever, but it's difficult when basically what's going on is, you know, Adam's been super busy throughout the entire week, so we don't even get a chance to talk. And we're supposed to have stuff done for, you know, not this weekend but next weekend. And yeah, it can be a difficult thing to get everything in order. So great start of the stream. Boot up stuff, and then be like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" I feel like turning off the stream and thinking about my life. Ugh. So let's see. Let's see. Well, it's like there was a moment where back way long ago where I booted up a level that Adam had put together with grass and everything else, and let me see which picture it was. It doesn't look like I even have a picture of it, but it was the very first time that Adam put together the grasslands level in 3D with foliage, and he was super proud of it, and I booted it up, and I basically just like it was supposed to be a super awesome like hooray stream, or not a stream, but like a call, and I like booted it up, and I was just like, this is terrible. And he was like, "What?" I was like, "I gotta be honest with you. Like, maybe we shouldn't make this game." He's like, "But I thought I did such a good job." I'm like, "This is trash." He's just like, "Oh fuck." So I don't know. Like, basically, when I look at that level, it's the same. It's the same landscape as the previous caverns level. The vertical goals. We don't even have a move that hits things vertically nicely. So, like all the other levels have some element of skill with getting the ball in, except for the cavern. So it's like the last two levels were out of ideas. So like, what's going on? Where you'd be like, every goal should have a specific thing. Like the first two were great. All right, a simple, short, like goal. The knoll in front of the goal was an accident, but that is what makes that level. And then the second one, the Midnight Ridge, is very good because it's got the vertical goal. And the vertical goal actually has a very good move to get the ball in, which is the pop-up, which really makes sense. And it has an even better thing in there, in that it has the down spike on the kick to get the ball in when you really need it. Way to crush an ego. Well, there's really not much of an ego there with Adam because he's not like experienced game designer guy. He doesn't have like 20 years under his belt of like doing game design. So, or even like what, when he put together the foliage and everything. It was the first time he'd ever put together any foliage. So, it was there's not an ego to crush. There's only expectations to actually have a bar against. If you don't know what you're comparing against, it's very difficult to know if what you're doing is good or not. So, so we'll see. And the third one, the forest, has a very good goal because it's elevated and because it has another move that specifically gets the ball in the goal, which is the kick, the fern kick. Like if you kick that at the right angle, it's done. Like, so there is a specific move that gets that in that goal. We go to Mushroom Hall. Mushroom Hall is basically the Grasslands version 2, and it forces you, instead of just being able to pop the ball up, you actually have to do a spike. So that level has its specific move, the punch. The punch is the best move to get the ball in with there. So all those 4 first levels have a specific move, which is the right move to get the ball in the goal, and they're all different. So even though they're basically the same thing of an open arena, they're very different in how you play around the goal, which is excellent. The caverns level is just there's no strategy. Like, you just punch the ball over to a direction and you just punch everybody else as fast as possible. End of level. That's just what you do. And for this second caverns, if it's like get the ball up there, we have to do a pop-up. But the pop-up's not very effective at actually getting the ball up. It's much more effective at horizontal motion because it stops the ball immediately, and it also doesn't make the ball go too fast. And especially if we've got these big spikes that come down, getting the ball under something is actually a move we don't have very well, especially in a downslope. Yeah, but there's no, what is kick on mushrooms? That's the punch. That's the and it forces the mid-range shot. The caverns, like, there's chase and retrieve, yes, but there's like, when you get to the goal, it's so easy to get it into the goal. It really doesn't matter what move you're using as long as it's just like punching the shit. So it's not necessarily about any real precise anything. It's about just hit the ball in that direction, because there's no like good way to get the ball through any of the choke points faster, such as, like, there are a few things where you can do the down kick on the down slope to try to push it through, but It just kind of does what it does. Level just flows. It's basically the forest level, but the goals are less interesting at the end. So for the Caverns 2, it's a vertical goal. I have to figure out exactly what that means. Especially with people who have widescreen monitors, it's going to squish that top in. All right. Yeah, instead of having a specifically crafted goal, I like the idea of the more... I don't know. It's like the reason why the grasslands works is because of just the little hill in front of the goal. If that hill was gone, it's a different level. That it has the upper area where you spawn in is also interesting because the ball gets stuck up there. Doesn't feel like a cave. What are things that only exist in this arena? But see, there's no strategy to that. Like I hit the ball 2 times and it just goes in. You know, that's that's more what I'm talking about. Is there's no like there are some strategies with like the kick and that sort of thing, but there's no real interesting goal motion. There are times where the ball gets stuck just back and forth here, but there's not really a strategy for getting it out. It's just punch. There's no well, I'll do the thing. I'll just do the thing. Yeah, well, the cavern solves the issue that the forest level has of because the problem with the forest level is it's way too easy to clear the ball, and that was the big issue. Like when we first when we were gonna launch that, that's like the Friday before we did that. I stopped us from launching and was like, this needs to be redone, and then it got kind of redone later. Problem with that caverns is the goals are too boring, while being at the same time creative. Like they have good art, but they're there. Let me see. All right, so why don't we just move on? All right, so what was I writing for this ball control? So the goal of ball control missions is to challenge players with difficult environments which navigate their balls. Focus should be on tight control of the balls, aerial hits, and difficult shots on goals. So, alright, so if this is supposed to be a challenge for players with difficult environments in which to navigate, I mean, it seems like a control, like, yeah, so okay, this is the control. So basically, you are escort ball. Alright, ideas for levels. Let's see. Time limit. Score. Time limit until ball breaks. Let's see, we can have Let's see. Obstacles to dodge the player in the ball. I don't know, this is just what happens when Adam and I don't have a call for like 2 weeks. I'm just upset about everything, and there's nothing to do about it. So what would control missions be like? We'd have an environment in which the player can navigate. Alright, so other things would be objects we can use to interact indirectly with the ball. Catapult / physics interactions. So what are other things? Like we could basically like punch something which hits the ball in a direction. Trying to think about what we could do. Like we could construct like a sort of puzzle level as well. Things like that. It's kind of part of the problem is we don't have a good core vein for what control should be. The goal of ball control missions is to challenge players with difficult environments. Maybe the problem is this. The goal of ball control missions is to allow players to creatively solve challenges presented to them, which they must navigate a difficult area with and get a single ball to its destination. I mean, when you're saying get the ball before the others, already you're talking about others, which brings in the bots, and then if you tune the bots, you break the mission. So like we'd have to make something else that goes and grabs it. Also need to communicate to the player where those things, those others are in the level and what they're gonna do, and that requires a lot more stuff. So I don't think that's an option. Not without completely new things, right? Like it has to be real clear what's going on. And there's plenty of bots and crap on other missions. I don't think these missions will have bots. So it would have to be something else. All right, so we could do a lot of stuff with things that like we'd have different types of balls, like a ball which explodes when it hits the floor a certain number of times, after a certain amount of time, after a certain number of seconds, under certain conditions, with a recovery. So, like, if you had a ball that you needed to take from one location to the other, but maybe there was some sort of, like, if you take this thing in direct sunlight, it degrades over time and then blows up. But if you get it back into darkness, it doesn't do anything. It gets better. So, it would be, you could set up a corridor or something with a swinging light, and you have to time it through that corridor. Stuff like that. You need to touch the ball every other second or only working. Yeah, these are all single players, so wipe it from your minds that you'll have another player in this. Well, I mean, that's more of a scoring sorts of thing. Well, I'm trying to think what levels would be interesting for a control mission. I mean, we could make them like the tower beforehand, where you just have crap in the way, and it's like, all right, well, just pop the ball up and that sort of stuff. But it's not really. One, it's not very Brackenwood. Um, two, there's only so many levels you can make like that, and we're just like making levels out of platforms. That's fucking really lazy and boring. I don't know what you mean by the dip in the initial trainings level. I mean, if you mean like the spiky shot where we have the goal and, the cliff next to you and that whole small area on grasslands. I don't know what that was about, but I'm still online, right? So, internet just died and came back. I'm trying to think of good scenarios where you would actually have some sort of control. So, if, for instance, if we had a morgue that walked back and forth and your goal was to bounce this ball through the area without pissing them off, like if the ball hits them, then they just like crush the ball and you have to start over. Like stuff like that would be interesting and more compelling and give you a reason to do things versus just like arbitrary goals and random crap like that, which can be difficult. Such as we're in the forest, you need to get you're bouncing a hive and the swarm is following you, and you have to, you know, they evade them or something. So I mean, there are some concepts of like red light, green light, which could come into play here, where, you know, like if we use some of the environment, such as, you know, direct sunlight on an object. I mean, there's a lot of things that would be nice to use for missions, but alright, the goal of ball control is to allow players to creatively solve challenges presented to them, which they must navigate a difficult area to get a ball to its single ball or to get a ball to its destination. I think one of the themes, though, like we need themes across these levels that kind of carry over. And I think one of the themes for the control levels should be something that centers around gimmicks. Like, if every ball you use is something different, right? So that there's like 5 different balls and they all have different gimmicks. Like the gimmick of the water lolly ball is that it can only take a certain number of hits, or there's a different type of ball, like a bubble ball or some shit, and if it hits anything, it explodes. Or another ball where it, if it's attractive to, it's a nuisance, so like it'll piss people off, like it's a foul smelling ball or something, and this thing hates it and it'll go mess with it, you know, like. And then other ones, maybe balls that open locations, so maybe, because kind of the thing is we want to present people with challenges for things. Because the thing is, we can use this in the single player too if we do it right. Like if you have a ball that it's like, oh, all these like mystical rune etched balls, when you put them in this like little thing, it opens a door. And then you find one of those, you're like, I don't know where the door is. I need to find the door, and then I need to get this thing to the door. And you know, there you go. And like we need to have these themes that when somebody sees something, it makes sense. And then, all right, so we want the, how do you spell water lolly? It's with a Y, right? It's not like water lolly, like it's an underage Japanese girl or something. Uh, so let's see, the, so water lolly would be brakes on contact. I mean, we could have a hive ball thing. It's like it attracts bees. I mean, that would make sense. And it's not brakes on contact. It's brakes when too much force applied. And I think, all right. Okay, we could have like a rock ball, right? And just, it's heavy. Right, so this is so if we had like a fat sack ball or something like that, it would be something in the terms of you have to keep hitting it or it'll like disappear into a little cubby hole or something. I mean, that could totally work. Like having a ball that actually, if it comes to rest or something like that, it actually actively tries to run away from you or some shit. Alright, so we could have types of harass. We could actually have a UU cloud. Basically, it would be something that forms up, and then when it finally forms up, it would like attack you. And the only way to dispel those would be to like run over and punch through it at high speed or something, and the cloud would disperse and then come back together later or something.